So we will have a darshan now, and you can address your question to either Padmasambhava or Lord Maitreya. So would anybody like to ask a question? Sheridan.
I would love to hear the translation of the gift of tongues that came through David from Padmasambhava.
Okay. It was about mercy as a mother love energy, which he invoked from the divine All-Mother to grace the hearts, minds, and wills of every devotee on earth and all who strive to be their Buddha self. So that was it.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. Put me on the spot, but it wasn't me. Okay. Anybody else? Janet and then Christopher. First, Janet.
Beloved Masters, thank you. Lord Maitreya, you have spoken often of the return in 500 years, and I feel like I might be a part of that. Can you speak more about what it is, how we come, anything else that you'd like to say that might be pertinent to my consciousness at this point?
What is 500 years? Save a little blip in eternity. We measure time in this dimension by microseconds, milliseconds, seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, centuries and millennia. Yet, if you compress 500 years into a divine moment of mindfulness, I can be with you now. I can be with you any moment, and I am with you in any moment where you are connected with your source, your own Buddha nature. So although there have been prophecies about this or that timing of whatever, what is that? Is it actually a means of putting off into the future what can be realized now? Is it a cop-out? Is it a cop-in? How do you cope with the future, save living in the eternal now? How do you cope with what will happen if and when I come physically, when you may not be in physicality in 500 years? You will be in another state of being, in another dimension. So draw me into yourself. In the eternal now, where you collapse 500 years into 500 milliseconds or 500 seconds and experience the divine id of your divine identity as your Buddha nature, as one who also expresses loving kindness, loving understanding, loving charity, loving empathy, loving mercy, loving forgiveness, loving gratitude, and loving compassion, and all of its beautiful essences that are like flowers, like buds becoming flowers on a rose or any flower that you love. And feel all of these God virtues or God qualities expressive within you of who I am within you as you accept me within you. Because the purpose of my coming is to ennoble you. The purpose of my being with you is to help you to be who you are. And so why put off into some phase of a future existence or some time as man and women know it on earth now, when you could fully self-realize all of these Buddha qualities any and all moments of your life through living in accord with what they represent, which is an eightfold path of love for Aquarius and for those who choose to be Aquarians par excellence. So Maitreya says, this is on the cosmic clock, this is the line of the clock, Sagittarius, and I believe you are a Sagittarius.
Yes.
It's a time for you to self-realize what that line of the clock that you were born under represents of your own Buddha nature or your own mother nature. Either one is, you could refer to, doesn't matter. Your Buddha nature, your mother nature, because the Buddha and the mother are one. So it's time for you to really realize what that is. Is it God victory? Yes. Is it more than God victory? Yes. Is it self-realization of all that you have experienced in these matter planes and bringing them to a crescendo and as an offering to God that says unto God, okay, God, I get it. I understand now. I surrender. I am your daughter. I am your son. I am one with you. I always have been, yet now I realize it. I accept this as a reality now. And I live, move, and have my being in my Buddha, my mother nature, and permanence, always expressing these 8 heart virtues. Let's say them together if you've memorized them. I hope I have them in the right order. Loving kindness, loving understanding, loving charity, loving empathy, loving mercy, loving forgiveness, loving gratitude, loving compassion. Did I say all of them? We got empathy in there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Maitreya says even he had to go into a deeper level of being when Gautama released the New Eightfold Path to realize how he could augment what Gautama was expressing through that and the Four Nobler Truths so that he could both support Gautama and then also, accentuate it and his particular mode of being, which many of us know is loving kindness, the first. So maybe you resonate, Janet, with one of these 8 heart virtues more than others. And he says you could really focus on that. Now we've been encouraged to focus, for 6 weeks on each one? Is that correct? Yet you could say, oh my Lord, I feel, let's say for instance, because I've been a counselor, I feel that my mind to claim and to really broadcast is loving empathy, because I have to understand people. There's understanding in order to help them, right? It could be understanding, could be empathy, but you can move through all of them one by one and return again and move through them. And then instead of moving through them, once you are them, all 8 are manifest in your aura, are fully blazing their glory through your active conscious life every day. And it becomes like a song of your soul to the universe to express all these beautiful heart virtues. So that's what he desired to share. Okay, so Christopher's next, I think.
Thank you, beloved Lord Maitreya, for that response to Janet. That pretty much says it all. I would love to have a better understanding at this cosmic transformation of civilization we're going through right now, metamorphosis of global civilization to a unity consciousness. I would love to have a better understanding of how we could utilize the existing tools and technologies that we have available for connecting with not just heart friends, but lovers of God, worldwide, and how we can make that happen.
So, a lot of people are focusing on artificial intelligence. We just had the first of, I believe, 2 classes with Kathleen and Sharon on accelerated learning techniques. I don't know if you were able to take that class. This is so important because what I'm seeing from Lord Maitreya is that the Essenes in the past practiced through their heightened awareness, through the fact that they were very pure. Remember, the pure in heart shall see God. And they knew this teaching. Actually, Jesus got that teaching from the Essenes. The pure in heart shall see God. So he knew that, even from childhood. The purer his thoughts were, his feelings, his emanations, the more crystal clear was his vision of everything and everyone. So, in order to bring the Aquarian way into the earth, yes, we can utilize artificial intelligence to kind of speed things up and help us with the workaday world and to do certain summation of things that we already, we have, and to just make life easier. Yet, be careful, because what's really essential is the accelerated learning and the accelerated teaching of the initiates, of the adepts, that will maybe be on a parallel path in one sense with the artificial intelligence, but because it's born of spirit, and artificial intelligence is not born of spirit, it's born of the human mind, which is not always of spirit. We have to raise artificial intelligence through our divine mindfulness so that it serves us. It's only a tool, and you ask what the tools could be. So the greatest tools are the accelerated learning abilities, capabilities of the 5 higher senses, which we know: clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairalience, clairgustance, and clairsentience, which the masters have talked about. And we had a conference in Tucson, and beloved Wayne Purdon actually shared a lot on that. And so if you were not there or you'd like a refresher, go back to that conference and the replays and hear Wayne's teaching and then the master's comments on it. So if we rise through the deep meditation that we heard from Padmasambhava today into this deeper state of quietude and stillness, we will begin to access those higher cities of the Buddhas, to then have instantaneous communication, clear communication, communication over long distances. We will be able to actually heal through frequency, which we already know there are many instruments for healing with frequency, yet the frequency will come through us as healers, where our hands, which are, and the antenna of our cosmic brain, so to speak, are able to coalesce infinite light from the stars, from the heavens, from the New Jerusalem, the golden city or the holy city, through the antenna of our cosmic minds, and then through our heart into our arms and our hands, through touch to heal people, or simply for the higher initiates through their eyes to blaze the glory of God through their eyes for healing. And so healing will become ever more subtle. The modes of healing will become ever more subtle, like what homeopathy does, and even beyond homeopathy, where the tiniest little aspects of our divine nature are more powerful. The lower you go into the micro world, what do you call it? The quantum field or the quantum world, quantum being very tiny. Well, what is the tiniest of the tiniest? It's like the atom or even below that, which is pure Godness, pure God essence. And the purer you are, and the more you rarefy everything by absorbing cosmic rays, absorbing the rays from the stars and from the universe into your being, and into the chakras and into the cells. Every cell then becomes magnificent in its ability to emanate light. And the more your cells are able to emanate light, the lighter you are enlightened, then you can heal. So the Essenes taught all this, and those who understand the science of solar healing, it begins within our cells. Maitreya says it begins within your higher cell self, which is your I Am Presence, but through every cell of your being, energized, activated by light and God consciousness, the cell becomes a receptor for cosmic energies of wellness, wholeness, healing, and then you will simply meditate, and like a saint, like Padre Pio or Saint Francis of Paola, you can just do what the doctor that recently passed on, who made his ascension recently, the chiropractor and naturopath, Dr. Bartlett did. He would just go, shh. And because he knew the body temple, he could see into it, and he would just do a little divine magic. He could just do that, and then light was conveyed, and energy was conveyed, and healing was conveyed. So, and you have to believe that you have the ability inside of you to be first the receptor for, and then the energizing of and activating of that healing energy, and then it can pour through you. So all of us then become transmitters and healers, transmitters of light and healing, and healers because we got out of the way. We're letting God do it through us. So even though AI will continue to advance in instrumentation, even inspired modalities and instruments and technology will come forth, it has to be qualified by divine light to really have permanence in terms of healing and be in accord with cosmic law and karma too, because we can't negate what is God's will. Yet, if you look at the life of St. Francis of Paola, he did things that were amazing, amazing. And I believe that because he took within himself, just like Jesus did, the karma or the darkness, transmuted it, and then he was able to do magical things because he had become all light himself through his deep meditation on God and his total purity of his consciousness. So if you desire to be a healer in any sense of the word, purify, purify, purify your consciousness, your temple, your cells. And how do you do that besides doing violet flame and white decrees? Quiescent, deep, reflective meditation early in the morning where you get completely still. Completely still. I mean, some people, their minds can't still their minds. Yet you first have to still the body. You have to get comfortable and still and just feel like nothing is happening except God. And when you get into that still state of complete quietude, your breathing slows down, your heartbeat actually slows down, and you can get into the divine mode where then you access divine bliss, perfection, and if and when God desires to release something to you of inspirational teaching or whatever, you can receive it. However, the goal is not necessarily just to be receiving things. It's to be, yes, a receptor for whatever God would deliver, but the goal is to be one with God, and so you merge with God. So I hope that answers. That's a long answer. The key, though, back to the original question, is parallel with AI, we require the higher cities and the mastery that comes through the 5 higher senses. And then we go deeper and deeper, and our lives become a lot more subtle. So everything then has a subtlety that is very beautiful. we become subtle beings. And so we get out of the way. And it's like we're almost invisible then, because we become so subtle through loving God and becoming one with God. There's almost no physicality anymore. We live as spirits more than flesh. And the Spirit lives in us and through us. We are one with it. We walk around like just light beings. So that really is I know that's been your goal, really, to be a light being your whole life, Chris. And you've proven it by your joy, because, when you have a lot of joy, you have a lot of light. I mean, the most happy people are usually the people with the greatest light. If you're dour all the time and you're negative, where's your light? Let your light shine. So be joyous. Okay, so that's that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you have one from somebody at home?
Rick Toon, are there any differences from the old nuclear reactors and the new ones that the government's claiming are safe and good, that they're trying in Norway as completely safe and secure?
Okay, there are differences in the technology. Strides have been made in that realm. Ultimately, they're still dangerous in that what would happen if there was, let's say, an earthquake and a meltdown, just like we saw at Fukushima. It was terrible. So the masters are not really hip on the current nuclear technology that we use on Earth. I'm sorry. They're not really hip on it, because there are safe and secure natural ways of producing energy that are already in use in certain circles, yet have been suppressed. So what do we do about it? The question is, okay, they're not completely safe, because if there were an earthquake or there was sabotage or something, there could be a meltdown, even if the safety standards are higher than they used to be, even if they've done everything that they can to make things so-called safe. What if the power to run the plants goes bad or they're sabotaged? There's still the potential for great damage to the environment and life. So what do we do about it? We get knowledgeable about the alternative energies that are better than nuclear, and we try to support them through prayers and through whatever influence we have through our elected officials. And we pray for the day when mankind will be responsible enough to use the higher technologies that are used in higher civilizations on other planets and have been even used in the past on Earth. The pyramids were generators. How did they use, through the architecture of it and the sacred geometry of the pyramids, how did they wield that energy in that civilization? Well, study a little bit from the Transylvanian Sunrise series of books, what the pyramids, what they were, how they were built, and what they did. You'll learn more, but there's more to come. So I think that answers the question pretty much. That's what I feel. Okay.
From Geraldine Gower.
Okay.
Is it helpful and beneficial to study the writings of recently ascended masters such as Maya Angelou and Nelson Mandela?
Well, it's always helpful to know more about a master through what they did in their final lifetime. Yeah, it's wonderful. There's a book on Nelson Mandela. What is it? The 7-Year Walk. Something about 7 years walk. It's a fantastic book, and it's very thick. I have it at home. I haven't read the whole thing, yet you learn about his time in prison, and you learn about his life and how he came to a type of resolution where he forgave everybody, and he was actually able to go way beyond what some people were able to do, who had animosity toward their captors and people that put them in prison and all that. So that it's a fantastic book. In terms of Maya Angelou, she wrote a lot of poetry, of course. I've read some of it. I haven't read that much. That's David, of course. Yeah, it's worth doing maybe not a deep dive and spending too much time, but enough that you kind of understand who they were. So, one more.
Okay, the next one is from Louise K. The question is, can organ music heal our organs?
Yeah, if you organize your thoughts, feelings, and your mindfulness to allow the chords to bring greater accord within you, and if you feel the notes moving through your chakras, moving through your meridians, as the organ plays, and you become, in a sense, one with the organ. But you can also meditate on the consciousness of the composer of whatever you're playing. Let's say if it's Bach and you're playing the Toccata and Fugue and whatever it is, to the Great Central Sun, meditate on Bach, meditate on what he was trying to dramatize through that music, and then bring it inside of yourself as you're listening to heal, your organs, but more than your organs, it's healing everything within you. It's healing your consciousness, it's healing your mind, and bringing you to deeper and higher levels of being. So there's great organ music out there, and it was interesting listening to the guy playing out in nature, the one guy playing the harpsichord and one guy playing the accordion, which is kind of, it's very similar to an organ in many respects. In fact, didn't they used to call those guys organ grinders? Let's see. And they'd turn, and then they could play kind of like the same type of instrument. So the organ, I believe, relates to which chakra, Dean? Do you remember in that teaching?
It relates to the
Solar plexus?
solar plexus, yeah.
Okay. So the organ is meant to be evocative of harmony in the solar plexus. And so when you meditate on organ music, particularly you can feel the beautiful light within your solar plexus just manifesting and then going to every system in the body. So fear is the nemesis of the solar plexus, right? We get, our breath is taken away, so to speak. So allow there to be a fearless essence of self-mastery within your solar plexus. Who's the master of the solar plexus? Jesus, right? 2 o'clock line of the cosmic clock relates to the solar plexus, I believe, right? So Jesus is a great master over fear. And if you have anything in your life or your world or your consciousness that you're fearful of the future, you're fearful of this or that, call to Jesus, meditate on E. Power Biggs' version of Bach's incredible, amazing music, and then feel the peace going into your solar plexus, the peace of the presence manifesting, and then going out to every organ in your body. So maybe you're partly asking this because we're doing that 50-day ritual of playing the healing rosary, healing of our bodily systems. It's a rosary on light, right, for the healing, to heal our bodily systems. So each of us may have an issue. Now, I know through getting, this is David now, through getting foot zone treatments for about 23 years, that the person who does these sessions is very, very sensitive and knows what's going on inside my body. So I just had a session a couple days ago, and I told Elizabeth that there was an impingement on my right shoulder, and also my lower back was strained because I did all this heavy lifting and some work that I was doing on my property. And she immediately found that to be true when she worked on my feet. And then she said, well, my kidneys were a little off too. So And I knew that. So, in addition to listening to music just on its own, if you're doing some sort of healing modality, let's say you're getting a massage, foot massage or a body massage, or you're doing some other modality, play the highest spiritual music that can relate to the systems or organs in your body that require help. And then study the lives of those composers, as we were encouraged to do many years ago, and feel through their music and what they drew down from heaven, the power and the majesty of that music, causative of transformational change and healing. So music is the green ray also, right? That's part of healing. So music can be a great resource for healing if we know how to use it properly. And maybe part of the reason we played that Vivaldi's from the Four Seasons, we're entering winter. Obviously, that was the winter part of that, the Four Seasons where they played, right? And they did it out in nature where it was cold. And so they were like bringing Vivaldi into that environment that represented the winter. So right now in the northern hemisphere, we're experiencing the beginnings of winter, even though technically December 21st is the beginning. It's already snowed here. It's probably cold where you are, Louise, because it's always cold in England, right? It's always cold and moist, just about everywhere. So whatever brings healing, use the music, whether it's organ music or you can look at the other instruments that relate. The crown is our strings, third eye is piano, the throat is brass and trumpets and the brass, and then the heart, of course, is the harp. Organ is the solar plexus. The seat of the soul, I think, is the wind instruments, right?
Woodwinds and percussion.
Woodwinds and percussion. Well, percussion I thought was the bass. Drums and bass.
Drums are the
Percussion, yeah. And then I'm not sure about the crystal chamber of the heart. Does anybody know that one? Harpsichord, okay. That was interesting, harpsichord. Okay, so you have that teaching. Go for it and use that different types of music to heal those systems in the body. Okay, more questions?
Okay, the next question on the chat was from Nicola Wojcicka. Is it wise to ask for Padmasambhava's initiations if one feels that at present there is already so much to handle in one's life?
I think the answer to your question is within the question. However, the masters never give us more than we can handle. If you feel burdened by what's already happening in your life, then of course, why burden yourself more if you feel that an initiation is a burden? But yet he says to remember that an initiation is an opportunity. It's not meant to be a burden. We've qualified the term initiation with a sense that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. I don't know if I can make it. So he says to change your attitude toward the word and the actual point of initiation to realize it's just a new line of the clock. It's a new opportunity. It's given to those who desire new opportunities and new discoveries and new challenges and new ways and means of journeying into a higher world. So if you feel so burdened that you don't want anything else to happen in your life in terms of challenges, then the masters understand that. I feel sometimes like I've done everything I need to do in this life, and yet here I am. And new things happen all the time, and they're great. By God's grace, if you put yourself, he says, look at David, you put yourself out there, you show up, miracles happen. So I don't look at the initiatic path any longer like I used to years and years ago, that it's a burden. It's opportunity. It's a ways and means of getting to know God more intimately through the freshness of what's here today, available from on high and from heaven for us to explore and to then use maybe to make life less burdensome. So if you look at the fact that the masters are always leading us upward and inward, maybe they're going to give you something that will help you to transmute worry, concern, burden, whatever, 8 o'clock substance if you want to call it that. And then you'll feel better, and then you'll actually be happier. So I look at it as, well, David, I'm going to go back to Maitreya, or Padmasambhava actually was the one, right? So look at it as your new life, as a child again, experiencing self-discovery through new opportunities to discern more, to grow more, to understand more, to investigate more, and then ultimately to be more. And what he says to you, Nicola, and to anyone who feels kind of this way, feels a little reticence, try me for a couple weeks. Try him for a couple weeks. See what happens. Then you can make a decision whether you'd like to, move forward with more or not. And God's never going to force you to do anything. Yet, the opposite of force is you'll be given a foray into what is beautiful, divine, pure, resonant, holy, gracious, splendorous, wonderful. So, is it God's desire for us to suffer in any way? No. God desires to give us the kingdom, opportunity to live with and within him, her, and our spirit as free beings of light. So what I'm seeing from Padmasambhava is that the third, not the first and not the second, yet the third additional initiation will be all about freedom. Now, we may think it should be the seventh, but he's saying it's the third one is going to be about freedom. Freedom from what? Well, worry, concern, burdens. So the first two will be interesting. The first one will be a little bit of a test, but it's not anything you can't handle. The second one will, for you, actually be right up your alley, he says, because you've been a teacher. And you're really a master of the yellow ray, Nicola. The third one will be rich in the light of freedom. So he's kind of not taunting you, but kind of inspiring you to go for it, because even if the first one's maybe a little testy, a little rough, the second one will be right up your alley. The third one, you'll feel greater freedom. So please don't fear the initiatic path, anybody, okay? Do you understand that teaching? It's not to be feared. It's to be enjoyed and utilized for our loving, gracious, fun, joyful life. That's the purpose of initiation. Don't make it hard. Just like those of you who have been teachers and you made class work fun for your children, did you see how quick they learned? How quickly they learned, right? And how amazing Mona was telling me, as kindergartners could learn how to read, within the first couple days of your teaching, because you had them make a book. Well, just simple words.
They were reading within the first year.
Yeah, well, okay. So, but you made it fun for them, right? You made it fun. So let the initiatic path be fun. And then when your attitude changes, then, wow, I desire to go to this conference. I desire to learn from Kathleen and Sharon, the next class they're going to teach. I desire to take Wayne's next class because I don't know anything about this goddess he's going to teach about, right? Wayne Purdon's class is coming up. And then, the class through me on Spirit Matters, Patreon, is coming up later this week on the 11th. So make every opportunity a splendorful one that's going to be joyous, exciting, dynamic, and it will refresh you. So he says finally, when he communes with Maitreya, Maitreya is a master at refreshing us, like that refresh button on our computer. So every initiation is meant to refresh us, not to burden us. So that's a great shift there. Okay, one more.
This question is from Kathy CR. This is a question posed to El Moria.
Okay.
In this day and age, what counsel can you give to those who are taught that polygamy is divine now and will carry on beyond mortal life?
Well, if you look in the greater context of all of our lifetimes, and the cycles of our being and many, many lifetimes, we've had many partners, not just one wife or husband. We've had many, many different people that we've interacted with, we've been mated to, we've collaborated with, and God doesn't say you are going to have only one partner for eternity. Like some Christians actually believe that if you're married in this life, when you die, you're going to spend all eternity with your wife that you had in this life. Well, that may or may not be true. It may not be your twin flame or your soulmate. So if you look in the greater context, we've had different partners, different spouses, different significant others, and potentially hundreds of lifetimes. We're all part of the same essence. So when, the basic teaching that you're going to be, if you have, more than one wife and you're going to be with them permanently in the heaven world, that's a false teaching. I'm sorry. It's not true. Now, the real teaching is when you're one with God, you are one with everyone in a higher spiritual context. And so in the spirit world, we are one with everyone in our spirits. So focus on that rather than the physicality that we try to force into heaven that, okay, the spouses that we've had in this life, if we've had more than one wife or something. Now, what about the women? Can they have more than one husband? I mean, it seems very patriarchal, like, what about the women? I mean, it's really a false teaching. Sorry, but you can't tell people that who are in the midst of it. So reincarnation frees you to understand that we've been with many different people over many lifetimes, yet what is important is our oneness in spirit with all beings. And when you let go of the sense of separateness or the body itself as being real, that the spirit is eternal, the spirit is what's real, our soulful essence within our spirit is what's real, we carry that into infinity. And so our spirit is one with every other spirit. We're just part of God. We're all part of God. And it's a higher teaching. It frees us from the mortality and the binding elements of our physical nature, because 3D is not, this isn't ultimately real. And as soon as you pass from the screen of life and you see that you're a spirit, it's like, wow, I'm still here, I'm still free, but I don't have a physical body anymore. I'm freer to do things. I can love everyone. I can be, in a sense, one with all beings. And our essences interpenetrate each other. And so it's very freeing to have a higher understanding of life and the heaven and the real heaven world, not that unfortunately taught in certain religions, that you're either damned for eternity or you're in heaven forever. It's a very physical thing that they make it, and that's not the way God created the universe. Sorry. The universe is beautiful. It's full of the richness of God's love and joy and creativity, and it's ongoing, and it's magnificent. So prepare to be startled, you Mormons, to see what heaven is really like, and not what you're. Actually, all of them. Yeah, all the religions, not just Mormonism. All the religions. If they teach something that's not real, people are going to have to let go. Unfortunately, some people, they believe it so much, they carry that intensity of their belief to the point where it takes them a while to adjust to what heaven affords of freedom and the infinitude of God and the blessings of light and the glories of heaven. So, Kathleen, give them Daniel Brinkley's first book and his third book, which is also fantastic. If you'd like to inspire them, have them read about what happens when you die, what really happens. And then maybe it'll shift their awareness a little bit, and then they can learn that life is so much better than what we were taught in our religions. Okay, one more.
Okay, this is from Mark B.
Mark Beltran in Texas.
In the turning of the cycles, we are at a point of disclosure, and so before Congress and the world. What is the most important question to ask about advanced technologies and civilizations beyond our general understanding at this point in time?
How the advanced technology and civilizations will serve humanity to be more godly and godlike. Because we've had advanced technologies of the past, and yet those civilizations were destroyed because people became disenfranchised with God, basically. They left an understanding of God and God within, and the universality of God's presence in our midst and through our I am presence. So the question to ask is, how can we refashion the future in the way that God desires, and the ascended hosts and the great white brotherhood, the universal white brotherhood, white not referring to race, of course. How can we refashion our culture and civilization to make it so that when the new technologies come, we can use them righteously and appropriately to have a society that's free, where people are free to pursue who they truly are, unencumbered by perverted religion, perverted government, perverted economics, perverted social systems. So freedom is the key, and Saint Germain is the key master with Portia to understand more of what questions we have to continue asking, because it's not just going to be one, it's going to be a number of questions down the road based on the advancement of AI that we're going to have to keep asking. Okay, is this serving us or is it not serving us? Is this aspect of AI that's being developed now, what is it going to lead to? And how can we avoid the pitfalls of other past civilizations that fell? So we're going to have to learn the lessons of the past as we move forward to bring the highest aspects of every aspect of our culture and civilization into play. Why? To glorify God and to have a civilization based on freedom, to pursue a righteous path of oneness with the Eternal One. Any civilization that doesn't recognize that there is a God, or doesn't give deference to the divine, is doomed to fail. Because without God, you will have a culture that devolves into chaos, confusion, and darkness and evil. So God must be at the center of any civilization for it to remain civil, and for the culture to evolve and become more enlightened, and for people as souls to become self-realized and aware. So I hope that answers it. There's going to be many questions, Mark, and we have to challenge what can become the status quo when the status quo is what Mark Prophet and the Divine Director warned us about through mechanization man. So if you read the Divine Director's treatise on mechanization man, I think it was given in 1965. It was a long time ago. It was amazing. And we're going to see elements of this coming into play, and we're already seeing it. And one of the worst is what these re-embodied scientists from Atlantis have done in the laboratories, and what they will continue to do to try to merge humans with machines. And, it's already, they're trying to do it. Or plant chips in our brains to ostensibly help us to think or to have different things that aren't working in our body to then be able to work. Well, it starts with supposedly something that seems positive, and then it devolves into something that's heinous and evil. So keep asking the questions and keep demanding of those who are moving these technologies forward that they ask the right questions themselves of what is appropriate, what is legitimate, and what ultimately is in accordance with God's will.
There is one more.
Go ahead.
This question is from Lily Anderson. After reaching enlightenment by Gautama, do we continue with Padmasambhava? And which others? In the I Am name, loving Gaia Terra.
Well, any Buddha that you associate with is wonderful. So it's not like you go to Gautama and then Padmasambhava. Typically, you'd go to Padmasambhava and later Gautama. So it doesn't really matter. They're all one anyway. So if you associate with Padmasambhava or Lord Maitreya or Gautama Buddha or Kartikeya, who is Sanat-Kumara, they're all good and they're all great. So spend time with one or more and then move on and spend time with the other guys and have fun, and the other ladies. So don't forget the female Buddhas, the Taras, Kuan Yin. So what Padmasambhava says is, don't forget the female Buddhas. So if you're only associating with the male Buddhas, you're missing out on some stuff. So associate with the female Buddhas too. We call them bodhisattvas. They're really, they're female Buddhas, and they're awesome. So I think it's the third book in the series, Transylvanian Sunrise. You learn about Machanda, I believe it is. Is that her name? Machanda, the blue goddess. It's pretty amazing. So she's like a Buddha. She is a Buddha. So get to know the Taras, get to know Kuan Yin, get to know Avalokiteshvara, get to know the mother of all Buddhas, Prajnaparamita, and then you'll have a rounded approach to what the all Buddha is, both male and female, which ultimately moves into androgyny, so that it's just Buddha. Doesn't matter if it's male or female, it just is Buddha.